And welcome back to part 15 of Celeste. We'll be tackling my least favourite level in the game, Reflections B-side, with music from Jukio Kallio. I probably butchered that name, if so I apologise. Which is a shame because this is probably my favourite track in the game. This is probably my favourite piece of music. But you're not going to be able to hear any proper flow of it because I'm going to be editing, because there was over 33 minutes of gameplay to do this whole level. That's how much I died, and I've edited it down to 10. I just don't enjoy this level, full stop. In my opinion, it's the worst level in the game, including all the A sides and C sides. It's just the weakest level. I don't enjoy it at all, which is a shame because it's literally the only outcry of the entire game. I enjoy everything else. Even the C side of Reflections, as much as it winds me up, is a lot better than this. I just think this is poorly designed. It has nothing to do with its difficulty. It's just badly designed, in my opinion. It feels almost rushed in some ways, and it felt like it was, in a lot of ways it felt like it was made saying, oh god, the next chapter is the last proper chapter in the game, we need this B-side to really count then. But then they didn't really think about that. It's just a tremendous jump without much thought put into it, and there's limited mechanics because there's not as much introduced in this level as there are in other levels. So you have a limited mechanic based level being tested to its absolute extreme to an infuriating extent. It just feels really thrown together. It doesn't flow like any other level in the game does. And I'm sure some people absolutely love this level, but I for one really don't. And so there's just no flow in it when I play it. It doesn't feel like I'm going from one area to the next and transitioning as I work my way through. It just feels like I'm going through one bizarre set of obstacles that wind me up to the next set of bizarre obstacles that wind me up with no real flow, trying to make the most of the mechanics they have at their disposal, which unfortunately, like I said, isn't much. But I can at least shut up a little bit for the music, since I know I don't die for a while now after this point. I've said it before, but this is probably my favourite track in the B-side, so I don't know if it's my favourite track in the entire game, but it's definitely up there. I love this track. I think it works really well for what it's trying to do, and I actually kind of prefer it over the A-sides version of it, if I'm honest. Just a shame that you kind of zone it out after a while because you're too busy getting manhandled by this really bullshitly designed level. I say it's not to do with the difficulty that I have the issue with. It's not. It's the design itself. It's the way it's structured that I have the issue. Because the difficulty, if I'm finding it too hard, that's on me. I always accept that. I don't blame the game if it's too hard. If there's a huge difficulty spike, then I might raise an eyebrow because it feels like, okay, you could have balanced that and built the player expectation better. But difficulty on its own, I will not criticise because it's difficulty on its own. But if it's actually something to do with the level design, which is this, where it very much feels like the level design is just arse backwards, then yeah, I'm going to have an issue and I'm going to criticise. And just because I criticise it doesn't mean I don't like it. The amount of times I've seen people say that, whereas if you criticise a game, it must mean you don't like it. No, the best games of all time I criticise the shit out of, because I love them and I want to see it grow. Like, I'll happily admit Persona 2's gameplay is one of the stiffest things you can ever play, which is why I'm so glad Persona 4 and 5 exists. Because Persona 3, as much as I love Persona 3, didn't really benefit with the gameplay. It just kind of made slight changes and then took away everything else and called it a day. It was an inferior gameplay system. It was just a bit more casual friendly, whilst 4 and 5 brought them all back in a modern way to make it a really cleaned up, polished style of the gameplay. But it doesn't mean I don't like any of the Personas. I love all of them. Well, maybe less Persona 1, but I enjoy all of them. Just because I criticise them or have issues with them doesn't mean I think they're bad. Most of the time, if I criticise something, it's because I enjoy it. Unless it's the new God of War, in which case, yeah, I criticise it because I really didn't enjoy it. But you get my point. And so in this game, I love this game. It's one of the best games I've played this year. It's not the best game I've played this year because Nocturne, but it's up there. I absolutely love this game, but I'm gonna criticize the fact this level feels really poorly designed. It feels very all over the place in how it gets to it, and now we're in probably the hardest part of it. Like, it's not my least favorite part of it, but it is probably the hardest part of it, which is all the sections involving Dark Madeline, which is the second half of this entire level. We have to deal with Dark Madeline all the way up until we get to the cassette room, and this is when I was editing. I was 10 minutes through the footage when I got to this part, so there was still 20 minutes left of the footage, which told me all I needed to know about how long I ended up getting stuck here. But I'll stop bitching. Like, so I know some people really do like this level and think it's one of the better ones, and if you do think that, kudos, it's your choice. I happen to disagree, but it doesn't mean you're wrong. Like, I know some people really don't like the B-side of Chapter 7, but I for one actually really enjoy it because I feel like it keeps the flow going. I just don't like one particular checkpoint in the next chapter, but I enjoy the rest of the level. It's just one particular checkpoint gave me nightmares almost. No, I say that. I mess around and joke. By the way, this room took me the longest. This room took me 10 minutes on its own, but whatever. Like, I joke and whatnot, but the one checkpoint in particular that I really didn't enjoy took me so long to get through it, it bruised my thumb. They actually bruised and dented into my thumb. It because of how constant I was at it to try and do it. And the level as a whole took 2.5 hours, which is why I'm really glad that it didn't take me 2.5 hours to do it on my second attempt, my second version when I was doing it on this way. But that's something as well, like the blind playthrough, if you go through it like blind and whatnot, don't be surprised if some of them take several hours to beat, because you're learning. It's just on the second and third playthrough of the levels you already kind of have the muscle memory built in. It's why I can do the whole of Super Meat Boy as well as I do. Obviously you need to go over that one. It's why I've done all of it and was willing to do all the B-sides. The C-sides are a different kettle of fish. There we go. So I'm watching my own footage more. I should really be talking more. It's why it's post. Post makes it easier for me to talk, and I'm just watching my own shit. And the music's so damn good in this level. It's a shame that they put a level that I really don't like with a track I really do like. Like, come on, they could have used this in something else, or just corrected the level design. As in the C-side is like, in terms of pure difficulty, it is worse, but in terms of enjoyment factor, it's a lot better. I do actually enjoy the C-side of Reflections. I enjoy all the C-sides actually. I think the only one that gives me a little bit of stick is the very last one, but that's just because they expect you to be a master of the crouching jump boost that you saw me do a lot in the A-sides, but see me do a lot less in the B-sides because you don't get any room to really do it. Which is the whole holding down and the direction you want to go, so you're kind of going diagonal, and then hitting boost and immediately hitting jump. Like, the game says press them both together, but it does give you a little bit of leeway if you press boost first by like a fraction of a second. It has to literally be a fraction of a second, otherwise it won't give it to you. But the C-side of Chapter 8, C-side of Heart in the Mountain, requires you to know how to do that. As in, physically requires you. It will teach you in the first room how to do it, which a few people think is bizarre, that the very last hardest challenge in the game is still teaching you new tricks, but they get you to do it, and then once you learn it, they put you in a very, very long room that requires you to use it several points throughout it consistently whilst keeping a move on. This is the last proper obstacle, by the way. This one also took me a little while to get through. And it's mostly because of the lasers. You have to cling onto that little bit of the wall there so it repositions the timing of the laser so you can get through the rest of it without getting hit. It sounds weird, but if you just carry on with the flow, you will get hit. And then there you go. And now we're done, really, because the cassette room's not that bad in this one. It's a little annoying, but it's really not that bad. You can get it done in a couple tries. Like the one in the Mirror Temple was worse than this one, so don't feel threatened by it. Just crack on with it. And there we go. The worst level in the game done, and we did it in 10 minutes. Well, next time on Celeste we'll be tackling the Summit's B-side, the longest B-side in the game. But until then, you guys take care now.